Welcome to the Visionary Chronicles, a podcast dedicated to uncovering the strategies and insights that drive innovative, disruptive businesses. Join us as we explore the mindsets, cultures, and solutions powering the next generation of industry leaders and creative trailblazers. Whether you're seeking to inject new life into your organization or spark transformative growth, the Visionary Chronicles is your guide to executable, cutting-edge business strategy. Hello and welcome to the Visionary Chronicles. Thank you for your time. We greatly appreciate it. And today we're going to continue on our series on the road to visionary leadership. Thanks again. I'll first start out by saying thank you for those that have reached out to me and have found ways to apply what I've been talking about on the first 3 episodes. And I'll review the first 3 with you. If you haven't seen the first 3, highly recommend you go back and take a look at those as we go on episode number 4 today. So again, welcome to the Visionary Chronicles, the release of our new series, first series actually, which has been pretty exciting for us and fun for me to do and share this inspirational leadership road for you. Hopefully you find ways to apply it. And this is actually Chronicle number 4. And this is effective communication and inspiring greatness. So in the road to leadership, visionary leadership, this is one of the critical ingredients for ensuring that you successfully implement your visionary leadership. And this series, again, I want to mention, is an inspiration from a new book I'll be releasing in July. Shameful promotion here. It's The Visionary Leader, The Success Principles of the World's Greatest Visionaries. It's available for pre-sale now at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, and all global retailers. So would appreciate if you either ebook for $4.99 or the hardcover copy. Would appreciate a pre-sale. That's always helps in ensuring that we hit bestseller as we did originally with the Visionary brand. So it's a follow-up, actually, to the first best-selling and award-winning book I had. And again, thank you for those that purchased the Visionary brand, the success formula behind the world's most visionary brands. But more importantly, those that reached out to me again. I'm here for you. I'm here for you, the entrepreneurs, the executives, the leadership, to help you with executing this visionary leadership goal you may or may not have. And hopefully, if you don't have it, that I'll inspire you to want to take some of these elements I talk about and successfully apply them to your career, your role, whatever it happens to be in the leadership position in your company. So again, this is a follow-up, and it's inspired by the new book I wrote, The Visionary Leader, the Success Principles of the World's Greatest Visionaries. And I tell you, it was a fun book to write. If you go through it and you're able to see the pre-sale copies, I've got a lot of great visionaries, some that people may not expect to be in the book. So we have a lot of faith-driven leaders. We also have a lot of philosophical visionaries that many people don't think of many times. Socrates, artists, Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci. We talk about all of these leaders, and it was a fun book to write. But also, what I'm excited about is I think this is going to be something you're going to be able to apply to your leadership as you go through ensuring that you're able to apply some of these visionary principles to your life, career, both, and I say personally and professionally. And I always start, as you know, out with a quote, and today it's going to be Abraham Lincoln. And he said the best way to predict your future is to create it. And I think what a great proactive way to look at life is to predict your future by creating it. Most people, and I talk about this and I'll kind of relate it to how a brand works, is that they are either a brand or they're a commodity. You're either one of the two. And brands are truly ones that create their future. And commodities are the ones that try to create the future, but look towards the past in order to create their future without looking ahead. So it's a little bit different in how we look at it from a branding perspective, but certainly very important. Sure, there's a lot of successful commodity brands. because there's so many great generational brands that have set the path for them. And in order for them to be successful, these products have to be commercialized, they have to be put in the marketplace, and they have to be adapted to and drawn down to these commodity brands that apply this to their products or their services. So both have been and are successful. I prefer the visionary leadership side, as I'm sure you do. I want to be able to predict my future and set my path and my own destiny. And that's why I talk about this visionary leadership. And so in today's episode, we're going to continue down our Road to Visionary Leadership series. This is Chronicle number 4, Effective Communication and Inspiring Greatness. This is number 4 in our Road to Visionary Leadership series. So please check out our other episodes on the Visionary Chronicles. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the Visionary Chronicles. That way, you're kept up to date on the releases that we do every week. And this is the first time we're doing a series, but it won't be the last time we're going to be doing a series. We're also going to be doing a series on my new book I just wrote. But for those of you that haven't seen or heard, we have both video and audio. And so the 3 episodes prior to this one are episode 184, which on the Road to Visionary Leadership, we talked about understanding visionary leadership and mindset. Chronicle 2 was actually building the culture of innovation. And then last week, on Chronicle 3, we talked about strategic foresight and planning. All of these super important to ensuring that you execute. And I say execute as a term or terminology, a verb, that you execute these principles we talk about on visionary leadership. Each one of these principles, I want you to kind of soak them in week after week. I don't like to throw all of these out at once, clearly, but we want to make sure that whatever you look at in visionary leadership, whether for yourself, your team, your brand, whatever it happens to be, that you're applying these principles, but also ensuring that you kind of soak this in a little bit each week. I find when we do our strat sessions with Liquid Mind and we talk to these leaders of these brands, small and big, entrepreneurial firms all the way up to large cap companies and brands, we say when we whiteboard this, we want them to think about these principles, make sure that they understand them and how to apply them and how it affects everything around them. Because we say clearly it starts at the top. It starts with the visionary leader, and he sets the passion, he sets the vision, and he's the one that ensures that everybody is able to successfully execute their role in ensuring that the vision becomes reality. And there's a common term that I use here in each one of these, and I'm going to put it in this one as well. As I said, the best leaders don't just react to the future. They anticipate and shape it. I love that term because when you look at visionary leaders, there's this future casting, I call it, and I put that in the book as well, where they anticipate the future and they see the steps towards achieving their vision. And they anticipate and they shape it. And the shaping comes from adapting. Many people think this is a straight path from where you're at in your current career to the mountaintop. It's not. It's what I call switchbacks. You go from side to side, and eventually you'll reach the top, but you shape it, you carve it. And when you sharpen that saw every week, every month, every year, and you anticipate and shape where you want to go in order to achieve your vision, you'll be able to successfully execute your plan. So on the Road to Visionary Leadership, how to effectively communicate and inspire greatness, we're going to talk about this next principle of being a great visionary leader. So welcome back to the Visionary Chronicles. We're going to continue down that journey. In this episode, we'll focus on what I feel is one of the most essential traits of great leaders, the ability to communicate effectively and inspire greatness in others. I'm sure if you haven't had a visionary leader, you've read about a visionary leader that has this principle and this skill set overflowing. And what you'll find in most instances when this is somebody that can communicate effectively, inspire greatness in others, he or she is a great team leader, one that can continue to instill passion in their team and help them to understand the steps to executing the vision that you've established, built for the company, and is a foundational building block for you being a visionary leader, is the ability for you to communicate effectively and inspire greatness in others. Why else would they have passion? Why else would they want to work for your company? So we'll talk about this in this episode. So communication is more than just speaking. It's about connecting, influencing, igniting action in others. And whether you're leading a company, building a brand, or shaping a movement, and I talk about movements because we're in a community-phased environment right now where people talk positively or negatively. The intent here is they talk positively. But if they talk negatively, it should be something that's a constructive criticism that helps you build your company or your brand. So again, whether you're leading a company, building a brand, shaping a movement, your success depends on how well you can, as a leader, engage, inspire, and unite people under a common goal. And that common goal is the vision you have for the brand in your company. So today we'll break down the principles of effective communication and explore how visionaries, these great visionaries that I talk about in the book, The Visionary Leader, have mastered this skill and provide actionable strategies for you, takeaways that elevate your leadership. And the first we talk about is the power of communication and visionary leadership. And the power, I love the word power because it does really provide this influence over others when you talk about a great communicator. And when you talk about brands versus commodities, commodity brands have nothing to talk about other than what others are doing. Okay, so that's another big principle you should remember as a visionary leader. Commodity brands talk about the great things other people are doing. And when you talk about visionary brands, they talk about what we're doing, not what others are doing. So leaders don't just speak. They inspire passion. That's the first principle of this powerful communication of visionary leadership. They don't just speak, they inspire others. The second is the greatest visionaries use communication as a tool to rally people around a mission. They understand it's a skill set, but it's also a tool that helps them build passion in their team and instills this continual momentum towards achieving your goal, your vision, or eventually through your switchback route up to the mountaintop to achieve your vision. The second is we'll talk about the traits of effective communicators and also inspirational leaders. Like, who are these people? How do they achieve this? What is that skill set? What does it look like? So you've seen some of these leaders, and we'll talk about a few of these leaders here in a minute. But these traits, what are these traits that effective communicators and inspirational leaders have? Number one is clarity and simplicity. And I love the quote again by Steve Jobs. I use it many times, is that simplicity is sophisticated. And remember that in whatever you do, whether it's a service, whether it's a product, remember that simplicity is beautiful. You don't want anything difficult. If you've been able to drill your product or your service down to something that's a 1, 2, 3-step process, and you don't have to use the user manual, then you've achieved something as a brand or a company because you've listened to your end user. And I'm sure even with you want something that's simple. So break down complexity into simple, powerful messages. The second is they have authenticity and they have passion. And authenticity is a very important word. It's saying what you do, but also doing what you say. And when you have authenticity, you need to show that both in your personal life and your professional life in all your interactions with your team, company, or brand. So speak with genuine conviction and a belief a rare, passionate belief in your company and your vision. Number 3 is they have empathy and they connect with others. There's nothing worse than a leader who doesn't have empathy for his team. And I don't care if it's personally or professionally. There's nothing worse than a grinder who never promotes success. Constantly grinding on the negative, never on the positive. So that's an authentic personality, but one that doesn't establish a connection with their team. So empathy and connection. Understand what drives your audience and your team, and speak to their aspirations as it relates to your vision. Number 4 is they have confidence and they have presence. You've seen leaders walk into a room and you're in awe of their presence. So immediately they have validation with you. So deliver your message with authority, energy, and impact. Don't hesitate. Hey, if you're in the 4th quarter and 2 seconds left and you decide to kick a field goal and you miss it, you certainly don't want to go back to your team and say, geez, I wish I wouldn't have done that. Deliver your message with authority, energy, and impact. Have confidence, have presence. So traits are clarity and simplicity, number 1. Number 2, authenticity and passion. Number 3 is empathy and connection. Number 4 is have confidence and have presence. So the role in storytelling for inspiring greatness. What does this look like? So we've gone through the power of communication, the traits of effective leaders. And the role of storytelling in inspiring greatness is really critical. And there's many stories with Steve Jobs, but I also have stories with Oakley. I always use Oakley and Jim Gennard as a great example. He was a very inspirational leader because he had all of this. He had clarity. He had simplicity. He was extremely authentic. He had great passion. And he connected with us, and he had confidence in what he was talking about. And so storytelling is critical for inspiring greatness because it allows you in your mind and your brain to connect with a story that brings it to reality. Because many times people, when you're talking to them, just don't believe you. They don't believe what you say you can achieve. So you need to have these inspirational stories of greatness. And I'll use an example of Tommy Lasorda back in the day where they were going through their championship run with the Dodgers. I don't remember how many games. I'm sure I'm going to kind of screw it up here a bit. The gist of what Tommy Lasorda had told his team was they didn't think they could do it. And a couple games into the World Series, Tommy Lasorda said, I remember a team that had won the same number of games we had, and they won the World Series. And it was an improbable story. And looking back on it, the players said, I didn't believe him at the time. And Tommy Lasorda admitted he made up the story in order to inspire greatness in his team. What? The players don't care. And you look back on it after the series, they said, wow, what a great inspirational story. And Tommy Lasorda said, hey, I just told you I heard of it. I didn't say it was fact. So it's interesting. I'm not saying you do this, but I thought it was just an interesting story. When you look at leaders of brands, sports, whatever it happens to be, this storytelling does inspire greatness. So people connect with stories, not just facts. That's number one. Number two, great leaders use personal experiences and vision-driven narratives to make their message memorable and relatable. So always make sure you have these narratives built around, it doesn't have to be your story. It can be a story of somebody else. So storytelling humanizes your message. That's what I talked about, making people feel emotionally invested in your vision. They want to know that you can bring it down to reality, that something that was this inspirational with this big of a vision Step by step, you executed that, and it brought it to reality to people that have never heard anything like that before. So make sure you have storytelling as you inspire greatness. So the next thing we'll talk about is, how do you communicate with impact? Inspire action. So the first thing you want to do is you want to craft, and I say craft as an art, a clear vision statement. And I say craft because if you can break down a vision statement to a sentence, think of how clearly you can communicate that consistently to your team, whether current or future team members. So be able to explain your message in one powerful sentence. That's difficult. That's why I say craft a clear vision message and statement. Number 2 is use storytelling to drive engagement. Frame your message in a way that resonates emotionally with people. Listen more than you speak. There's a reason God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. Make sure you use it proportionately. So listen more than you speak. Active listening builds trust and deeper connections with people and empathy with people. Speak with purpose and conviction is the next point. Your energy and passion are contagious. So you think of that simple, clear, compelling vision statement that is 1 sentence. It's a half an elevator speech. So use storytelling to drive engagement. Listen more than you speak. Speak with purpose and conviction. Adapt your communication style. Different audiences require different approaches. Know how to connect effectively. And what I mean by this is that when you're in with Liquid Mind and the brands that I've been with, I've always had the product and marketing teams. So whether it be Oakley, K-Swift, TaylorMade, Nike, Adidas, whatever it happens to be in brands that I've been with and brands that we work with Liquid Mind, that design is going to want a different message than accounting, but they're both equally important to the success of your brand as a whole. So adapt your communication style relative to the audience, and that's what I mean. Don't always speak in really sophisticated design terms or simple messaging that breaks down the barriers across all of these functional areas, but adapt the communication style relative to who your audience is. So let's talk about who these visionaries were. Who were these effective communicators that were inspirational leaders? So visionary leaders, they not only adapt to develop groundbreaking ideas, but also possess the ability to communicate their vision in a way that inspires action and builds lasting brands, what I call generational visionary brands. So here are some of the most influential visionaries. And I broke these, not all, but I broke these down for their effective communication and inspirational leadership. And most of us are familiar with them, but we're not necessarily putting it in the context of inspirational leaders who can effectively communicate and inspire greatness in others. Some are effective communicators, not necessarily can they inspire greatness. So I'm talking about leaders that have actually done both. They're inspired greatness, visionary leaders that are effective communicators. So who are these visionary communicators? First is, of course, Steve Jobs. And I talk about Steve frequently, but he's just such a great example across so many areas of effective communication and vision and inspiration. So Steve was a master of storytelling and what he called product evangelism. He evangelized what they were doing as a brand and as a company. And it inspired everybody who was inside the company, outside the company, and also those who wanted to come to Apple. So you can imagine, and I always say this with Liquid Mind when we whiteboard. We were going through COVID and many brands were worried about losing their people and their team. I says, never lose sight of the vision. Never lose sight of who you are as a brand. And ensure that you can communicate to those who want to join your brand that you haven't broke that trust with them and you're no longer authentic. Making sure that whatever you do, that you don't make the mistake of short-term planning at the sacrifice of long-term vision. So He was a master of storytelling and product evangelism. That's the first thing. Jobs had a unique ability to simplify complex technology. That's an art. That's an art form. That's extremely difficult and make it emotionally compelling to others. Think of just opening a box with Apple. He wanted to be an experience. When he invented the iMac or executed and commercialized the iMac, he said, if you go beyond 3 steps, it's way too complicated, and I don't want to put operating instructions inside this box. So he did neither. He told Johnny Ive, I want to have this 1, 2, 3 of being able to get started on the iMac. So he said, number 1, take it out of the box. Number 2, plug it in. Number 3 is hit the power button. That was it. That was it with the iMac. Can you imagine how simplified that is? And it takes away the fear of technology as well. And his keynote presentations are legendary. The iPhone launch in 2007 as an example. To this day are a masterclass in storytelling, clarity, and vision. So all of these are very important components to being a visionary leader. He inspired Apple employees and customers with the obsession for excellence and innovation and never let them down, even through difficult times. Number 2 is Elon Musk, Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, X. He has this bold vision and charismatic communication style. Elon just articulates grand, futuristic ideas, Mars colonization, AI integration. You may not necessarily agree with everything that Elon's doing, but you can't deny the fact that he is an effective communicator and he inspires greatness in everyone. And he sets this expectation, these futuristic ideas, in a way that makes them almost seem inevitable, like they're going to happen. And whether it's today, tomorrow, 10 years from now, whatever it is, this vision is going to happen. So he leverages social media to connect directly with his audience. He builds this transparency and engagement, and his leadership inspires intense loyalty and belief in his mission. And number 3 is Richard Branson from Virgin. And he has this genuine, what I love about Richard Branson is this authenticity and personal branding. Go back to Richard and the original brands and airlines that he's set up in Virgin Group and Galactic and whatever the different companies that Richard Branson has started. And what I love about Richard Branson is just his pure authenticity and his personal branding that just set a vision for others to want to follow through an inspirational message that he would give very passionately. His leadership was built on being relatable with people. So even though he was a billionaire, people could still relate with Richard Branson. He was adventurous. He was customer-centric. And he would also humanize his brand. So that's why I have Richard on here. Not many people understand. People think of products. They think of services. They don't necessarily think of people utilizing the products that they're creating. Steve did that. Richard does that. They humanize the brand by telling stories of risk-taking and personal experiences that he's actually had during the achievement of successfully building his company and brand. His public presence and communication style make the Virgin brand synonymous at the time with innovation and fun. And number 4 is Howard Schultz for Starbucks. And Howard really had this, and he still does to this day, this purpose-driven leadership. And he transformed Starbucks from a coffee shop into a global community. What he wanted to say was an experience. So as you build your company, your brand, your product, service, whatever it is, think of that. It's a global community experience. Most people think of products as a physical thing. What I loved about Howard Schultz is he said, I look at my brand company, Starbucks, as an experience and a journey that people can enjoy wherever they are across our world. His communication consistently reinforced Starbucks' mission and also have a mission of social responsibility and customer connection. And he emphasized corporate culture, employee empowerment, and ethical sourcing. He knows connected with his audience. So again, some key takeaways from these visionary communicators. Number one, as a visionary leader who wants to effectively communicate and inspire greatness with your team, brand, company, board of directors, I don't care who it is. Number one is simplicity and clarity. They communicate these big ideas in a way everyone can understand. Number two is they do it authentically and with passion. Believability. Their communication is deeply connected to their personal beliefs, that they can achieve their goal and execute their vision. Number three is storytelling mastery. They use these stories to inspire, persuade, and build emotional connections with everybody around them. And very few people can execute one, much less 5 of these. Number 4 is bold and future focused. They articulate a vision that excites people about what's possible. Not about what is, but what can be. Number 5 is engagement and connection. People go engagement, connection. What do you mean by that? It's proactively engaging with people. They communicate in ways that create loyalty. And I talk about that many times, brand loyalty. People feel, what does that mean? It's very intangible. Well, that's what builds your lifetime customer value, by the way, which is your revenue stream. When you look at online sales, you look at even retail sales for your brand, service, product, whatever it happens to be, remember, creating loyalty adds brand value and equity, but also builds customer lifetime value. So communicate in a way that creates loyalty and community around your brand and company or service. You know, these leaders don't just build companies. They build movements. Think about that. Wouldn't that be cool to have your company and your brand create this movement by mastering the art of effective communication and inspiration? Movement is key to a community and brand loyalty driving revenue growth for your company and brand. Many times we get this question with Liquid Mind. Well, how do we go beyond incremental growth in our company and have a real significant bump in our revenue on a global scale? And I say, build a movement. Be disruptive. Be a great communicator. Inspire a new vision in your team. Allow your team the freedom to succeed in executing your vision. So some final thoughts on communicate like a visionary and inspiring greatness in others. So some of these comments, visionary leadership isn't just about having groundbreaking ideas. Many people feel like, well, a visionary just has great ideas. It's not true. You saw with Steve, you saw with Elon Musk, Howard Schultz. All of these great inspirational leaders had groundbreaking ideas, but they had all of these traits. And I talk about that in the book, The Visionary Leader, The Success Principles of the World's Greatest Visionaries. You'll see what these principles are step by step, and also examples and background in every single visionary leader I talk about in the book and how they utilize that on their day-to-day in order to achieve visionary success. So visionary leader, again, isn't about just groundbreaking ideas. It's about making others believe in them. Think about that. Believing is seeing. It's not seeing as believing. You have to make people believe it before they can see it. The ability to speak with clarity, inspire with passion, and connect with authenticity is what sets these great leaders apart. And it can set you apart. And others will follow. But just be authentic in everything that you do. So as you continue down the road to visionary leadership, focus on refining your communication skills. And what I say, harnessing the power of inspiration. Harness it. Be authentic. It's very, very easy to be passionate, but not authentic. And then the believability goes down with your team and you're no longer authentic. So speak with clarity, inspire with passion, and connect with authenticity. It's what sets you apart. And so refining your communication skills, harnessing that power of what I call inspiration to drive a real impact globally, all over the world. The most successful leaders are the ones who can paint the vision of the future so vividly that others want to help bring it to life. And that's why I love art. That's why I talk about in the book Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo. Many people say, well, why those visionaries? And I go, those are probably one of the most important visionaries that we've ever come across in our world. Because they have this vision, they can paint it. They can paint the future so vividly that others want to bring it to life. So join me in this episode as we unlock the secrets of, powerful communication. Take a look at it again. Take another step on the road to visionary leadership. And make sure you go back to the first 3 and subscribe to the Visionary Chronicles. And each one of these will be neatly delivered to your inbox every week. So subscribe, and if you could, really appreciate it. And thank you for those that actually have reviewed the Visionary Chronicles podcast. I know that your time is precious, but hopefully you enjoy what we talk about here. It's always appreciated. And also share the episode, because I feel inspiration from my perspective that I'm here for you in order to make you great in what you do, but also steps towards becoming visionary. Whether it's you personally, whether it's you professionally, I talk about both of these. So whether you're an inspiring leader, seasoned entrepreneur, or simply seeking some personal growth, the Visionary Leader book and the Road to Visionary Leadership will guide you on that journey. It'll create a lasting impact. So let's take a step together and listen to the next episode that we have with the Visionary Chronicles and the Road to Visionary Leadership. So as we wrap up this episode of the Visionary Chronicles, I have an exciting opportunity. I talked about this a couple weeks ago, and I'm going to keep bugging you on it. I have an exciting opportunity. My upcoming book, The Visionary Leader, The Success Principles of the World's Greatest Visionary, is nearing its release in June. And I'm inviting you to be part of this journey, if you could. So if you're interested in receiving an advance, what they call an advanced reader copy, an ebook, and sharing your thoughts as an early reviewer, I would appreciate it because I respect you. And I know that you listen to the podcast, and I always appreciate your thoughts. So contact me directly at Bryan, Bryan, at liquidmindsight.com. And I'll ensure you're one of the first to get to experience the insights and strategies from this hopefully transformative book. So until next time, keep innovating, keep leading, keep shaping the future, as I call it. And thank you again for your continued support. It's greatly appreciated, and I look forward to hearing from you hopefully soon. So stay true, stay authentic, be great, be different. But as I say, enjoy the journey along the way. And I look forward to the next Visionary Chronicles podcast.